come from. So he says to them, Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 10, the land you're about to come into is not like the land of Egypt. Okay? Because in the land of Egypt, what do they have all the time?
Water.
Nile. Water. In the form of the Nile. Never-ending rivers flowing from the plains of Africa. Occasionally we know they had drought in Egypt as well. How do we know that they had droughts in Egypt? Joseph, exactly. In the book of Joseph, in the story of Joseph. So, where am I? Not like the land of Egypt, blah, blah, blah. But you're about to cross into and possess a land of hills and valleys that soaks up its water from the rains of heaven.
Wow.
Okay, that's where it's coming from. The rain.
Wow.
No, not at all.
Okay, from the Shamayim. Sham, which means up there, and Mayim, which means water.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the Hebrew word for the skies and the heavens, is Shamayim. Up there is the water. From the rains of heaven. Now, I don't know if Batch has talked about the water situation in this land. Does anybody know how many days of rain we get on average each year? 30. 30, excellent. Very good, 30 days. I don't remember a year.
Wow.
The last few years that we had 30 days. We've had a serious water issue for a long time now. However, problem solved. We desalinate, no problem. We now have these machines that collect the humidity from the air, turn it into water. We sort it out. However, just so you know, we get the same quantity of rainfall as London. Tel Aviv gets the same quantity of rainfall as London. How can that be?
Heavier rain.
Heavier rain, shorter periods and heavier rain. And the important thing about our rain is it falls in season. It falls from the months of November through till March. Okay? You haven't seen much rain, right? We're pretty much finished with it through till March. So it falls over 4 months. For 8 months of the year, that is what we get. Blue skies and sunshine, and not a drop of rain. Okay, so that is very important. So how we're even told of that and warned of that. Carrying on in Deuteronomy, if then you obey the commandments that I send you this day, loving the Lord your God and serving him with all your heart and soul, I will grant the rain for your land in season. The early rain, which is the November rain, the rain that falls, that we start to pray for on the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and the late rain, which is the last rains that fall. Oh yeah, we're on the route to the airport. There's a giant plane. I thought maybe you'd seen a bird. Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
It's a bird. It's a metal bird.
Yeah, they gate crash our reserve. They're really not very good for the atmosphere, biblical atmosphere here, but we can't do anything about it. In fact, it's my fault because they were flying over my city where I live, and we all petitioned that they shouldn't fly over the city, and they moved them just slightly sideways, and now they fly over here.
Yes, it's all your stuff.
It's all my fault. Guys, I was in the middle of reading something important.
We can hear you. We have the whisper.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. I will grant the rain for your land in season, the early rain and the late. The late is now around Passover time. You shall gather in your new grain, which is the wheat and the barley, and the wine, which is the
Grapes.
it's pointing to him, and the oil, which is the olives. The 4 essences of life. Those are the 4 basics which were offered every day in the temple. Those were the 4 things that literally we needed to subsist or survive. I mix words together. Subsist or survive, and those were the things that had to be constantly produced. Now, we have a little bit of a problem here. Because the children of Israel come into this land, they know they have to be farmers. However, I don't know how long have you been here for?
10 days.
10 days, 2 weeks. How much water have you seen?
A lot.
The Mediterranean. Okay, that's not very helpful.
Jordan River.
Dead Sea,
Dead
not very
Sea.
helpful.
Sea of Galilee.
Not very much, exactly.
Aqueducts.
Exactly. We haven't seen very much. Okay, this water is not full. It has no external sources of water. Have you been to the Sea of Galilee yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Sea of Galilee, when you ask an Israeli child where does your water come from, the first thing they'll say is the water cooler, and the second thing they'll say is the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee. But that's not where it comes from. It has to get into there first, and that is what is dependent on the rains. Okay, the rains falling on the mountains of the north and then coming in streams into the Sea of Galilee. And so if you're a bunch of Israelites that have arrived in this land, you have to start becoming farmers, and you're all being allocated your different allocations of land. And you're allocated the hillsides in this area. We're in an area called the Shvela, which is called the lowlands. It is low in comparison to Jerusalem, which is, we're here about 600 feet above sea level. And Jerusalem is another 1,800, I don't know which way I'm pointing from here, another 1,800 feet above sea level. And in this area, I know because I live in this area, if I want to take my children to a spring, there aren't any. Okay? It's a very, yes.
What about the aquifers? I mean,
The aquifer. So that's where the problem lies here. Here there are no springs and we're 600 feet above sea level. So here the aquifers are very low down. Hold on. Bless you. So what do? We've got a bunch of Israelites on a hillside with a problem. Okay, what are we going to do? Talk about it a bit, form a committee maybe, form a breakaway committee, get worried, panic, all sorts of things. But eventually what we like to do here in this country, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Startup Nation, we like to make new things, startups, inventions. And this is what we invented. We invented, what is it?
Sister.
A cistern. Good boy. It is not a well. What is the definition of a well?
You dig to the water.
You dig to the water that is there. Exactly. And what is the definition of a cistern? Collect the water. Yafi. Okay, smarter than the average bears. So,
What's the whole?
I'm going to explain. So how did these cisterns work? Basically, big holes were dug down into the ground. This is just the opening. The whole area is a hole. Underneath, you can't see it, but the whole area dug underneath is a hole. And what happens if you dig a hole and pour water into it?
Stays there. Leaks out.
Leaks out. Leaks out.
Plaster.
So you plaster it. You don't plaster it, you plaster it. So you plaster. You plaster it, exactly. You go in and you plaster it. And, well then how do we get our water into it?
Right.
Rain.
Trenches.
Where the lady sitting there? There's a channel.
Yeah, little channels.
It's okay, you don't have to get up. There's a little channel running down here. Basically, you would dig the hole halfway down the mountainside, wait for it to rain. The rain pours down the channel. It goes through this hole here, which is basically a hole for dirt to settle. And then it pours through. There's a hole here, though you can't see it. We'll see it in a minute. And fills up this water cistern.
Oh.
Okay, now once this water cistern has filled up, and please God, it has been filled up, that would have to be enough water for 8 months of the year.
Wow.
Okay, so no showers, ladies. Not very often anyway. And basically that would have to be used for everything. For watering the crops, for watering the sheep and the goats, for washing in, for cooking, for cleaning, for absolutely everything. It would basically have to be meted out very, very carefully and looked after carefully. So basically the water cistern and the water and the wells were the essence of life here. They were the basis of absolutely everything, and they were the heart of the communities. Okay, you want to look for a good love story in the Bible. You want to look for the romantic bits. And then you look for the water cisterns. You look for the wells. That's where they all take place. You know, Moses and Zipporah, and Rachel and Jacob, and Eliezer the servant finds Rebecca as a wife for Isaac. At the well, you know, he brings his 10 camels and he says, I need a woman who's going to offer me water for me and for my camels. And Rebecca comes to the rescue and pulls out the water. In fact, let's have a volunteer here. Okay, come on. Told you were going to get wet. Oh, him.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what does Rebecca do? She is very kind enough to offer Eliezer water for him and for his camels. So you need to put it up, please. And I think it proved that Rebecca was very kind and also very strong, because let's face it, 10 camels can drink gallons and gallons and gallons of water. So she probably had to pull up about 400 of these buckets. Okay? Yeah, 400. Wait, before you put it back down, let's just check the water's good. Okay? Let's feel it. Oh, nice and cold. Lovely. There's also a song about this one.
a hole in
My
my
buckets, thank you.
Yeah,
There's a hole in
there's a
my
hole.
bucket. Okay, so everybody tell me the water's okay? Nice? Cold water? Yep, excellent. I'm being quite kind to you guys today. I can see too many phones and cameras around. Okay, so get going. Another 400 of those, please. Wait. Before you pour it back in. Okay, just pour it through that hole here. And I want everybody to listen to the sound. So if you're an Israelite and you're sitting here on a winter's day and you can hear that water pouring into that cistern, what does that mean to you? Life. It means life. It means that you can survive another season. It means you can stay here and you can plant and you can water and you can subsist. And what happens if you don't hear that sound? What happens if the Lord? Well, let's read what happens next. Okay, in the next stage of what I didn't read I read the good bits, but I didn't read the gloomy bits. Okay, so then the Lord goes on to say, you shall gather in your grain and wine and oil. Take care not to be lured away to serve other gods and bow to them. For the Lord's anger will flare up against you, and he will shut up the skies. So there will be no rain, and the ground will not yield its produce, and you will soon perish from the good land the Lord is assigning to you. And we know that happened. Okay, the rain doesn't come, the cisterns don't fill, they don't have what to water themselves with. So what do?
Desalinate.
Drink
Yeah, but they'd have
wine.
had to wait 3,500 years for that. What did they do?
Go hunt for water.
Look for water sources.
Leave. Go elsewhere. Where did they go? They went to Egypt. Okay, Jacob and all his sons wandered down to Egypt. I want to ask you a question. When Jacob went down to Egypt, let's see if I can find this quote. Jacob went down to Egypt. He took with him gifts to Pharaoh. Does anybody know what gifts he took with him? Did he take wheat? Did he take barley? Did he
Wasn't it
take grapes?
spices?
He took. Oh, who said almonds?
I did.
Yes, he took almonds. He didn't take anything listed under the 7 species, because the 7 species are dependent on those winter rains. In fact, that's all it needs. We can plant the whole of this nature reserve with 7 species, and they will grow almost without us watering them. We don't water 625 acres. I have a nature hill opposite my house, and on that nature hill is a date palm that produces dates, and olive trees that produce olives, and fig trees that produce figs, and wild wheat and barley. Pomegranates and grapes are a little bit more needy. But so Jacob didn't take any of those with him to Pharaoh as a gift, because they weren't growing, because it was a famine. What did he take with him? Some balm and some honey. Interesting, it does say here honey, but possibly we don't know here whether it's. Well, let me see what it says in Hebrew. It says here dvash. So dvash. It's hard to tell whether they're talking about bee honey, which wasn't produced at that time, manufactured. It was found by chance. Gum, laudanum, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Okay, so that's what they took. None of the other things, because they weren't growing.